Well, Tom Bower is, of course, the best-selling author of the Meghan biography, Revenge, and he joins me now. Tom Bower, do you believe this? Do you buy this from Giles Brandreth that the Queen, the late Queen, never uttered any negative words about Meghan? Because you had some revelations in your book that suggested maybe she was a little bit more unkind.
No, I mean, I think Giles Brandreth is a wonderful man, very amusing, very intelligent, and clearly had very good relationship with Prince Philip. But he's a man who never likes criticizing. He's a man who always sees the best in the world. And my sources told me very emphatically, and I believe them to be absolutely true, that the Queen was very, very disgruntled with Meghan. And that, of course, is why she expelled them, so to speak, in the great Megxit debate at Sandringham in 2020, when they were stripped of all their honorary and other titles in Britain, denied any protection, denied any finance, and told they couldn't serve as royals if they went to California. So I don't think for a moment that the Queen was uncritical of Meghan. In fact, as I said, she was rather pleased that she hadn't come to Prince Philip's funeral. But I do believe that she was critical and rather concerned by Harry's over-the-top admiration and love for Meghan. And of course, she wasn't the only one. So was Prince William. So was Prince Charles. So was Charles Spencer. Everyone thought that Harry had gone overboard. So on that story, I do think Giles Brandreth is right.
You know, I think this is something a lot of us have suspected for years. The media tried to push this fairy tale romance narrative when, in reality, the people closest to Harry were seeing massive red flags. The Queen, Prince William, Prince Charles, even Charles Spencer, Princess Diana's brother, were all reportedly concerned that Harry had lost all sense of reason. And let's be honest, they were absolutely right. Now let's talk about the over-the-top admiration part. We've seen men fall for women before, but there's something different here. Harry wasn't just in love, he was consumed. And when a man becomes so infatuated that he loses his sense of judgment, he becomes easy to manipulate. Just look at how his entire personality changed. The fun, easygoing, bad boy prince turned into a constantly outraged, victimhood-pushing Hollywood activist overnight. That didn't just happen by accident. Protect your family from what, Harry? The royal family gave you everything: power, status, influence, luxury. But the second you fell for Meghan, suddenly the monarchy became this oppressive force you had to escape from? Well, what really happened is that Meghan wanted out, and you were so blinded by love that you went along with it, no matter how much it cost you.
Well, yes, indeed, because what we loved about the late Queen, I guess, is that she was the queen of the understatement, Tom. So when Prince Andrew goes to talk to her about his various issues caused by Jeffrey Epstein, who he reveals, you know, is going to jail for paedophilia, the Queen replies with one word, according to Brandreth: intriguing. And I guess it's the same thing with Harry, isn't it? By her saying, oh, he's a little bit too in love, what she really means is this is a man obsessed with someone.
Now this is what leadership looks like. Queen Elizabeth, despite being in her 90s, saw exactly what was happening and took decisive action. She wasn't going to let them have their cake and eat it too. They wanted out. Fine. But they weren't going to keep the titles, the protection, or the taxpayer money while running around Los Angeles pretending to beat half-in, half-out royals. The Queen shut that down fast. And let's be real, this was never about wanting a private life. Meghan and Harry wanted the illusion of a private life while keeping all the royal perks. That's why, within months of leaving, they were signing multi-million-dollar Netflix and Spotify deals. That's why Meghan was doing interviews with Oprah. And Harry was complaining about his family on every podcast that would have him. Privacy? Please. They wanted fame, but on their own terms. Really, Meghan? Because peaceful people don't sue the British press every 5 minutes, make documentaries about their trauma, or constantly throw their own families under the bus. The Queen saw right through them, and she made sure they left with nothing but their egos. We need to talk about these warnings because this is where things get really interesting. Prince William reportedly told Harry to slow down with Meghan because he could see the writing on the wall. Charles Spencer, Diana's brother, also tried to talk sense into him. And King Charles? He too expressed concerns. But did Harry listen? Nope. Instead he saw these warnings as attacks, cut off his closest allies, and ran headfirst into a disaster of his own making. Oh Harry. They did support you. They just didn't support the reckless decisions you were making. There's a difference. And this right here is the problem with the victimhood mentality. When you see every piece of advice as a personal attack, you end up alienating the people who actually care about you.
Yes, I think that. But we got to remember one other thing. This book is written after sadly, the Queen's death. And they're trying to rewrite history because they don't want to provoke the Sussexes. And they're hoping, obviously, that Brandith's book will be the final olive branch, not to be too nasty about the royal family when the book comes out next year. I don't think it'll work because I don't believe for a moment that the Queen, according to Brandith, when the Oprah Winfrey interview was transmitted, said TV nonsense. I mean, Meghan accused the Queen and the whole family of racism and much more besides. I don't think the Queen was saying that's all TV nonsense. And on the other hand, one must remember another thing. The Queen at that stage was 94. She was already quite ill. The idea that she was absolutely on top of everything, I think is a bit unfair of the author. So I think it's an endearing picture he paints of the Queen. But I think the Queen understood very clearly the dangers that the Sussexes posed, and that's why in the Sandringham Agreement, when they finally left Britain, they got absolutely nothing that they wanted. They were told if you go to California, you're cut out of the business, and that's the end of it.
This part is crucial because there's been an effort to rewrite history and make it seem like the Queen was unbothered by Meghan and Harry's attacks. But let's be clear. The Queen was deeply aware of the damage they were doing. She wasn't just sitting there saying, "Oh, it's just TV nonsense." No. She saw the danger in what they were doing and she knew exactly how destructive it was to the monarchy. This was one of the most damaging accusations in modern royal history and the Queen knew it. The British press has tried to spin it like she wasn't bothered, but let's use some common sense. If someone accused your family of being racist on international television, would you shrug it off? No. You'd be furious. And that's why, despite the polite public statements, the Queen made sure Harry and Meghan were fully cut off after that interview. This is exactly what we see happening in the media today, a deliberate attempt to soften the truth. The Queen, William, and Charles knew Harry was making a huge mistake. They saw Meghan's influence for what it was. But instead of standing firm, too many royal insiders are now trying to rewrite the story to keep the peace. Well, I'm not buying it and neither should you. The royal family tried to warn him. He didn't listen. And now look where he is, estranged from his family, struggling for relevance and still playing the victim. But at the end of the day, Harry made his bed. Now he has to lie in it.